Okay, let's get going. Good evening and welcome to the 2026 election hustings for the St Saviour Connétable. I'm Kathy Keir and I'll be taking us through the proceedings this evening. We have until 9 o'clock, so I hope you've all got plenty of questions to ask the three candidates. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. Please make sure your phones are on airplane mode so they don't interfere with the tech. And we're not expecting a fire alarm, so if you hear one, head to the exits. You can see them from the green signs. Just follow Kevin. The event's being live streamed on YouTube, and welcome to everybody who's watching on YouTube. You can access subtitles from a button at the bottom of the screen. So you can also watch this tomorrow if any of you or your relatives or friends couldn't manage it, or if you want to watch it again, it'll be live on YouTube after a few hours. So we have three candidates standing for election as Connétable of St Saviour, and in alphabetical order they are David Curtis, Independent, Kevin Lewis, Independent, and Susie Webb, Independent. The candidates have decided that they'll each make an opening speech lasting up to 4 minutes, and then they'll speak in alphabetical order. They've then allocated 2 minutes to answer each of your questions, and they'd like you to ask one question at a time. And then they'll take it in turns to be first to answer the questions. So let's kick off with the speeches. Dave Curtis first.
Good evening, I'm Dave Curtis and thank you for coming. A little bit about me. I am 64, passionate about parochial service, retired with 2 daughters, 16 and 25. So why Connétable? I moved to Jersey in the early 1990s, initially working on a local farm, and developed an admiration for the unique parish system. Having been brought up with strong sense of duty, as soon as I had some spare time from work, I joined St John's as a constable's officer. Through my time in St John, I learnt the ropes, extended my understanding of the parish system, and eventually became chef de police. During this time, I gained valuable experience of parish assemblies, broncage, licence applications, community policing, road maintenance, and parish hall inquiries. After a short break and a move to St Helier, I rejoined as a centenier, focusing more on the legal side. During COVID, over the space of a week, I worked closely with a small team to implement virtual charging and virtual court appearances. I relish a challenge and I'm not afraid of modern technology. And who would have said that in a week it would be possible to change the entire judicial system? Just goes to show what can be achieved when motivated. I served as island-wide president of the Honorary Police for 7 years, which provided further insight into the role of Connétable by attending the committee and dealing with many aspects of parish administration. Serving the parish is a part of who I am, and I would be honoured to continue my service in St Saviour. St Saviour's is a great parish to live in, but things could be better. To touch on a few concerns that I've heard over the few weeks: safer routes to school. We have lots of schools in St Saviour, which creates the need to provide safer routes for our children. And one particular route I am concerned about is Laverine. I was there the other day and as a parent was horrified to see children walking in the middle of the road in and out of traffic to get to the top. The need to improve safety on this road has been around for many years with no action. This is unacceptable, and if it's elected, I would treat it as a priority. Green spaces for teenagers and families. I share the frustrations that you voiced at the Parish Assembly about the new park, and I think we have more work to do to meet our needs and make sure the money is well spent. In my view, the plans ignore the needs of teenagers, and we need to look wider for space that includes some sports areas so it's right for all parishioners. On top of this, I would look to use existing green spaces better. Traffic. I have spoken with the Infrastructure Minister and Planning Minister about the Five Oaks Master Plan and how we can move it forward. It is really important that we urgently address the traffic flow in this area before we do anything else. Parish Hall. We have a great building and a good team behind the scenes, but we could do a little better. Hard-working families are struggling to get to the Parish Hall during current opening times. I would extend the opening hours for an evening per week so everyone can get advice, collect recycling bags, and deal with general administration at a time that is right for them. I would hold drop-ins across the parish to hear from you directly, maybe even convince you to join the Honorary Police. But these will be not only at the Parish Hall, but north and south, to ensure everybody's voice is heard. If elected, I will be visible, approachable, accountable. The Constable works for you, and I would be proud to serve St Saviour and deliver results. Thank you for listening, and I would appreciate your support on the 7th of June.
Thank you. Now, Kevin Lewis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Lewis. I am the current Constable of St Saviour. I was first elected as Deputy of St Saviour in 2005 and elected Constable in 2022, totalling 21 years service to the parish. I'm not going to shower you with promises, but I will tell you what I've done. Some of my achievements so far: I have reacquired the St Saviour recreation fields to the right of the church, especially for events, fairs, church weddings, etc. With the approval of the Parish Assembly, I have purchased a further terrace cottage to add to the portfolio. A young St Saviour couple are now in residence. This is an addition to the 32 bungalows we have at Langtree Gardens. I have repaired Val Alum Swiss Valley. I'm in the process of reopening a walk from Le Mont-Sawyer down to Grand Vaux. This will enable people to enjoy country walks with family and pets. I will soon be submitting plans for a family park and play area and car park directly behind the parish hall. This will be an exciting place to meet for families and children. Plus, the car park will be very useful for parish hall and church events. All of the plans are on the back wall there. Some of it have been undated. I've also been working on safer routes to school. Lower Elizabeth Street in Georgetown, outside St Luke's, is now classed as a school street. This means that school opening and closing times, the road is closed, allowing children and parents to walk freely without fear of traffic. I've also put in virtual footpaths in Bagatelle Lane and Bel Air Lane. We're also working with the Environment Department on making Claremont Road outside JCJ Prep much safer. I have instigated the parish road repairs and resurfacing to bring all parish roads up to a good standard. Regarding La Verine, I have recently negotiated with JCG a special pathway to the side of their new sports field to allow people, and youngsters especially, to walk through Ivystill and get to Claremont Road area without going up La Verine, which is very, very dangerous. Previously, in St Saviour, I ran, before getting into politics, I ran St Saviour's only cinema, which was the Cine Centre Cine de France, which premises I leased from the Hotel de France group, which I ran for 20 years. I'd be honoured to serve you for another 4 years as Constable of St Saviour. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Susie Webb.
Good evening. I'm Susie Webb. I was born and educated in Jersey, and my background spans business, health, and post-16 education. I'm standing because I care about St Saviour and the people who live here. One thing is clear: our beautiful parish hall isn't used enough. This should be the beating heart of St Saviour. If we want a genuine parish hub and a stronger sense of community, its doors need to be open. Too many parishioners are lonely or isolated, and that must change. If elected as your constable, the first thing I will do is to reinstate the Golden Age Club, not just for tea and cake, but as a lively learning and social hub, introducing new skills, fun, games, and connection. I will also reinstate children's parties. You cannot build a thriving community that doesn't have children at its heart. The parish hall should be open to everyone of every age. A major barrier is simply getting here. From Georgetown, it's 2 buses if you don't drive. I've already secured the use of a free minibus for 4 events every year to bring parishioners down, up and in from other parts of the parish to attend special events. And that is only the start of my negotiations for minibuses to connect our parish. The proposed new park will be a fantastic asset. The additional 32 parking spaces will make a real difference, helping more parishioners to attend events, and the play areas will provide a safe environment for children to play in. We also have the St Saviour's recreational field, which hasn't been used since Liberation 80 last year. So we have these wonderful spaces, but they need to be utilised. And also the padlock needs to be removed from the gate to get into the field. The cost of living is affecting every one of us. I've explored the idea of a parish food bank, but the quickest and most effective option is to work with existing food banks in St Helier. Many families need support, and with over 500 registered charities in Jersey, help is available on many fronts. People just need to be connected with it. There are also many counselling and emotional support services available, and I will connect people in need to them, because as your constable, your welfare, your care and your protection will be my priority. I will listen and I will link parishioners to the support they may not even know exists. We already have a team of dedicated community volunteers, but I want to build a super team. Even 1 hour a week, taking someone to a medical appointment or helping with a little bit of shopping can transform a life. I'm surprised by how many people don't know this service exists. Communication is paramount. I will have an open door policy. If my Fiat 500 is parked outside, then I will be inside and you can come and talk to me. A constable needs to be patient, visible, kind and accountable. I believe I bring those qualities along with the skills, energy and enthusiasm to serve you effectively, both here in the parish and in the States Assembly. Thank you.
Well, you've heard what the three candidates have to say. Now it's time for some questions. Simone will bring... I've just got a few things to say first, but I'll go to you first and then you. Simone will bring the microphone round. Please tell us your name and confirm that you are a parishioner. Ask one question and then hand the mic back to the helper. And when phrasing your question, please bear in mind that every candidate needs to be able to answer, so no questions directed at just one person. If we have time, I will come back to people for a second question, but I'll try and get as many people asking as possible first. We won't be taking questions from other election candidates or from current states members. And please keep your questions succinct and leave the speeches to the candidates. Okay, let's get started. And remember to hold the mic nice and close so we can hear you. So we'll go to this gentleman first and then we'll come to this lady second.
Oh, thank you. Dave Crocker, live just up the road there, so I've been a parishioner for some 40-odd years. You all said that you're all super independent. When you get together with the other 11 parishes, it seems to me that all constables vote together as an en masse block, no matter what the policy is. I think if you go back, you could actually see how many voted contra. Now, I believe Sadie was the only constable who used to vote with her conscience. Now, will you vote with your conscience, or will you vote with the rest of the gang?
Okay, so Dave Curtis is answering first. Will you vote with your conscience or with the rest of the constables?
Thank you for that question. And I would vote for what the parishioners require. And if that required me to vote against the block, then I would vote against the block. It's really important to be in the States and support the parishioners of St Saviour, and sometimes that may not go with the vote of the other Connétables, and if that was the case, then that would be my view.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Lewis.
Yes, I always vote according to my conscience. The days when the constables all voted together, I am glad to say, have long gone, and it's all on the internet if you'd like to look it up. My voting pattern, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea. I don't care whose idea it is, I'll go with it. If it eases the burden on parishioners and islanders as a whole, I go with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Susie Webb.
I will vote however you want me to vote. So I think communication is really, really important, and I would want to keep all the communication channels open between us. So if the majority of you wanted me to vote in a certain way, I would vote in that way. But I'd only know the majority if we actually kept the communication channels open, if that makes sense. So I think on the issue of assisted dying, for example, that would be really difficult. So I couldn't vote the way I wanted to. I would need to vote the way the majority of you wanted me to. So does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you. Now let's go to the second question.
Hi, I am Vicky Trehorrell. I've lived in the parish all my life, and I work here also. Outside of any presently held elected roles, just so that it's fair to everyone, what have you done to support St Saviour's Parish in the last 4 years? And if elected, what would you plan to do to support the parish moving forward?
Okay, so that's a double question. That's what have you done to support the parish, and what do you plan to do? Kevin Lewis will answer first this time.
Oh, first out the gate. Well, I stand by my record of what I've done. There's another, the recreation fields was mentioned. There's another big event happening in August, so please mark your diaries on that one. Look out for the date. What have I done? I used to run the Jersey Film Festival, which I hope to bring back in Howard Davis Park. That I ran for 24 years. The last film we showed there had 7,500 people come in to see it. It was no charge, it was a retiring collection, and over the years we've raised tens of thousands for local charities. It wasn't too bad for me because I just had to put the film on, and the various charities would come in and collect with their buckets, so I didn't have to count or account for any of the money. More of that, I'm a retired member of the Jersey Blind Society, ICANN. I do lots of charity work. What would I do for the parish? More of the same, actually. I just want more events. We had a problem during COVID where the parish hall was closed and locked. Sadly, some of our Golden Age members passed away. I'm trying to reinvigorate the parish hall again. I want to see more concerts. There's one tomorrow night, by the way. You're here. More concerts, more activities, hence why we need the new car park out the back, because our car parking is very limited. The car park out the back will also help with any church events, church weddings, and sadly funerals. We need the extra parking. So that's the way I'm going with the parish, more of the same, and I will work very hard for you. Thank you.
Susie Webb.
Okay, I don't know if you remember 4 years ago, I stood for deputy, and I was very narrowly beaten by 54 votes. So I could have just disappeared into the woodwork, but I decided to come forward and do something for the parish to show people that I would have been a good deputy. So in the last 4 years, I've become the editor of the parish magazine. I was a contributor first, and then when our dear Cara went to live in Trinity, I became the editor. And that's something I absolutely love because I get to go to all the events and take all the photographs, and I know exactly what's going on, and I love it. And then I decided to join the community volunteers, and that also was excellent, just helping people if they've just had something like a hip replacement and they just need a bit of shopping done for 6 weeks. And that was wonderful as well. It got me all over the parish, so I learnt, well, it's a huge parish, so it's a lot to learn. And then what did I do then? I joined the rates committee. A little bit nerdy, but that was absolutely really good fun, and I love doing that. And lastly, I joined the twinning committee because I would really love to go to our twin town in France, in Normandy. So over the last 4 years, I think I've done quite a lot, and if I'm elected, I would like to carry on being the editor of the magazine. I think there might be a data protection issue there. I might not be allowed to, but if I am allowed to, I would love to continue that role. Thank you.
Dave Curtis.
Thank you. It is true, I am new to the parish, although I've lived here for 6 years, so my achievements are limited, but my parish work throughout the island has been immense. And I would now like to channel that into St Saviour's. As President of the Honorary Police, recruitment and making sure the Honorary Police thrive, it's an important part of parish life, and I have been a staunch supporter of that. I live in St Saviour's, and I would be here to work for St Saviour's. And whatever the parishioners ask me to do or want to do, it's really important that we get the community working together as a whole. Old, young, individual, middle people, everybody working as a community to make the parish a better place for everybody to live.
Thank you. Next question. So we'll go to this lady here in black, and then we'll go to the lady in the jacket, kind of a few rows from the back, and then that chap. Okay.
I'm Karen Bull, and I've lived in the parish for nearly 50 years. I want to ask about St Saviour's parish recreation field, which I know has been mentioned a couple of times. This is parish-owned land. It's paid for by parishioners. It's administered by the rectorate, yet for over a year, as Susie mentioned, it has sat behind a padlock. So we have a recreation field with no recreation actually on it. In Jersey, nearly 40% of children leave primary school overweight or obese. Fewer than 1 in 4 meet the recommended daily activity levels. Times have changed, sadly. You know, jumpers for goalposts, sewing in the parish hall, and yet another petanque pitch doesn't cut the mustard anymore. Young people today want places to bike, skate, climb, engage in challenging, creative outdoor play. So my question is, which one of you will commit tonight to opening up St Saviour's Parish Recreation Field for genuine, year-round recreational use for children, families, residents of all ages? What exactly will you commit to delivering as Constable, and how exactly are you going to make that happen?
So Susie's answering that question first. When will you open the field, and what will you put in it for all different ages?
I will be the person to open the recreation field. There's so much that could be done with it, and it's been used once in a whole year. I'm sure that things could be put in there which aren't permanent. So, for example, a couple of football posts for the kids to kick a football around in. It could be up. They could be taken down if there was another event happening. So things don't have to be permanent. It could be temporary. I would maybe consider putting a running track around it, just opening it up to all age groups. I think initially the gate needs to be open and the padlock needs to be taken off, because at the moment you can't even walk around it. So I don't even know why the padlock is on it. You could get in through the churchyard, I suppose, but at the moment there doesn't need a gate and a padlock on it. That's hardly encouraging people to use it. So it's a fantastic open space, and I just don't understand why we're not using it. So I would definitely be the one to get it open and get it used. Thank you.
Dave Curtis.
Thank you. You are correct. It is a vast space which is not used to its potential, and it's been locked away for far too long. There's so much that we could do there to put in pump track or a walking track or lots of activities for the teenagers, which we are so lacking. And I don't believe that the park behind the parish hall addresses that. As I said in my opening speech, we need to really focus on looking at that space and providing something not only for the teenagers but for all of the parish to enjoy. It's a wide open space that's doing nothing, and we need to utilise it better. And I will confirm that if I get elected, I will definitely look at improving it and providing facilities for all ages, young, old, but especially the teenagers.
Kevin Lewis.
It's a long story, and I hope I can get all the words in time. Basically, when I took over as Constable, first thing I said to the parish secretary is, what belongs to the parish? How many fields do we have? And he pointed to a map, said, these fields over here and that's over there. Also, fields over there, but they're leased out on lease. I thought, oh no. And I said, well, how long's the lease for? Oh, it'll be some time yet. And it was used as a dog walking area for a private person's dogs. And literally, you can look at it on Google Earth if you want to go back a few years. The grass was at least 3 foot high. So I said, I need to look into this. And it was leased, I can't mention names, but it was leased out to people who sadly had gone on disaster. And a contract was signed after that period. So I said, well, no money's coming in, so I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think you can actually do that. So wrote them a very polite letter saying, we're taking the field back after 5 weeks, which we did. We got our team from the depot up, and if you go and have a look at it, it's a beautiful manicured lawn. And we had a wonderful 80th Liberation Day there last year. It doesn't directly come under me, it does come under the rectorate, it belongs to the church through the parish. And what I'll be looking to do is to make a separate entrance into the fields so that you don't have to go through the cemetery. That would be a good start. But as I say, it belongs to the rectorate. I want to see more activities in there. I was talking to the head of the local scouts recently, and I said I'd love to see a jamboree in there. We could set up toilets, we can do generators, we can do the whole thing. It's a secure area. I want to see it used. But I've spoken to Karen Black here regarding the field, and I said I'm more than happy to look around. If we can find another field for a pump track, meanwhile, more than happy to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question is the lady at the back there with her hand up.
Hello, my name's Nicola Ingram, and I've been living in the parish for 25 years. My question is about governance at the parish hall and the way the parish works. It seems to me, for example, that it's just using an example, that the Roads Committee minutes where decisions are made aren't transparent. There's not any minutes available. Until the other day, the website only had up to October 25. Suddenly, because I've asked a couple of questions, there's been an upload of minutes. The expertise of those on the Roads Committee, I'm not just pointing at the Roads Committee, needs to be addressed, as does the composition of that Roads Committee, so that proper, transparent decisions are made, not on the whim or interests of particular people, that it represents the views, because decisions have been made in the parish, for example, to put the railing up at the end of at Highland there by the passageway, but yet there's no lights in the passageway because you've decided for some reason that it's not. So my question to the panel is, what are you going to do to strengthen the governance that exists in the parish, make it more transparent about the decisions that different committees make, so that we can understand why things are happening, because at the moment it's not abundantly apparent why decisions are being made.
Okay, so the question is about transparency of all the different committees that run the parish, for example, the Roads Committee. So the first to answer this question will be Dave.
Thank you. That's a very good question, and I share your frustrations, because trying to find on the parish website parish assemblies it's a challenge to navigate, and it's a challenge to find anything that's going on that's related to the parish. Which is not really acceptable in this day and age, where accountability is accountability. You need to know what's going on at the parish hall, and you need to know that decisions that are made here are transparent and accountable. And I see no reason why that should be hidden or not shown. And if I was elected, there would be everything is transparent that we do here. And it's done on your behalf, and therefore there should be no secrets from everybody. And it's really important, to navigate, to find the information, to find out what's happening in the parish and when it's happening. And when the decisions are made, it's really important that that information is passed down to the parishioners, because you are here to vote us in, and that's really important.
Kevin Lewis.
Yes, everything is transparent. We have the parish accounts here. Regarding to governance, people think I control the Roads Committee. I do not. The Roads Committee is an elected body, and any parishioner can put their hand up and stand for election for the Roads Committee. Anyone. But usually it's advisable if people have an interest in obviously roads, road construction and such like, it always helps, but it's open to anyone to put their name forward for election. Thank you.
Susie Webb.
I have quite a suspicious mind, so if I can't find something that I'm looking for, then I think it's been deliberately hidden and something is being hidden. So I'm all for transparency. I think everything about the parish should be available for everyone to see. So if you come in and see me, you'll be able to see whatever you want. The parish accounts, which are there if you look hard enough, you can find them. But you come in and everything should be transparent because you are the parishioners and this is your parish. So I've been told not to make promises, but I will promise you, if you want any figures on anything, I will give them to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. There is a gentleman on this side here with the black T-shirt, and then we'll come... No. What? I'll try and get some people who haven't asked one, and I'll come back to you after that.
Hi, my name is Eric Mahe. I live in St Saviour's at Andium Court. Most recently, I've lived there for 10 years. Prior to that, after a gap in St Helier, I was in St Saviour for about 15 years prior to that. So I want to ask the question about community connection. We talk about community and service, so I'm asking the candidates how they will unify people. I live on the estate that was mentioned by the Connétable, and we have homeowners on as well, but we have to go through where they live, and we do get verbal abuse from there. How do we get someone who is going to unify that and listen to what we say? And also, we are out here to help. There are many of us that could help here, and how would you contact us to do that and make this happen?
Thank you for the question. So how would you unify the parish and also engage the community in helping you to do that? So first to answer this time is Kevin.
Yes, unify the parish is something that's been on my mind for some time because it runs from the Dyke Slip right the way up to Trinity and also right the way out to St Saviour's Hospital and the reservoir beyond. So it is a very large parish. We're the second largest parish on the island by numbers, plus we have a large area to cover. So to unify, one of which is transports, because if somebody who, say, lives in Longville wishes to come to a meeting tonight, they have to get two buses, one from Longville into town and another bus to come out again, and vice versa going back. So I am thinking about getting hold of a minibus. There is a lot of paperwork involved, obviously with drivers, insurances and such like, but it's something I have been working on. We've been offered the loan of a bus, so that's something I'm seriously looking into. Thank you.
Thank you. Susie.
As I said in my introduction, I have already secured a minibus. Not ours. I phoned a few charities because I thought a lot of charities have minibuses and they can't possibly all be used 24/7. So I phoned a few up and one of them said that we could use their minibus 4 times a year completely for free, including their driver, everything. So that's a really good start. Eventually I would like to maybe see we have our own minibus because Georgetown, they feel really isolated. And it was quite sad. I've knocked on a few doors, and the first thing people have said is that they don't feel part of the parish. Well, that's just not good enough. I mean, we want them to feel part of the parish. They are part of the parish. So initially, I will be borrowing minibuses from other charities, and eventually we will get our own and have all the north, south, and our arm out to the east connected with this parish hall. Thank you.
Dave Curtis.
Thank you. This is about communicating and getting the parish to work together as a whole, north, south, middle. and busing people to the middle is not necessarily the answer. The south feel disjointed and feel left out. So go to the south. You know, spend time down there as a Connétable. Spend time talking to parishioners who feel that they are disjointed in the south of the parish. I've been there all week, and they were surprised to see me, some of them. And it's really important to get the community working together. And it doesn't all revolve around this parish hall. You know, it's about getting out into the community and getting people to work together from north, south, and middle to generate a community that's working for the community. And it's really important that those areas that feel left out get involved. And the only way to do that is engage with them. And that means going to them and seeing them.
Next question. Okay, the gentleman in the white T-shirt.
Good evening, my name's Ian Bladden. Please, can you explain how you plan to deliver the Five Oaks master plan during your term of office? And do you oppose further housing in the Five Oaks area?
Thank you. Susie's answering first. So there's the Five Oaks plan, and how are you going to help implement it? I think that was the question, wasn't it?
Thank you for the question. The Five Oaks Master Plan was lodged on the 16th of March 2022, and in that document the Minister of the Environment states that his work would be undertaken during the plan period of the Bridging Island Plan and before 2025. So this should have been drafted and delivered by now. Apparently there was not enough funding and it wasn't a priority. Well, it's certainly a priority for the residents of Five Oaks. I know residents are frustrated, and if I'm elected, I will make this a priority from day one, pressing the new Environment Minister for a clear timetable and regular progress updates. This can't just sit on a shelf any longer. Residents deserve to know when improvements are coming and not just say that they're being discussed. So in the next island plan is due to be reviewed in the next term so we can open it up again. And if I'm elected, this will be one of my priorities as I live not very far from Five Oaks. Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you. As I said in my opening speech, I've actually spoken to the Infrastructure Minister and the Planning Minister about why this has been delayed. And you're correct, it was funding. Apparently these plans are very expensive and cost a lot of money. But that doesn't do anything to help the parishioners of the Five Oaks area. I'm led to believe that there is a change of law where there is possibly a new plan, but when I spoke to them, they were talking this could be 2028. But we need that plan. We cannot move, and it would be wrong, I think, in my view, to progress that area anymore until we've got that plan. And we need that plan, and we need that island plan, and we need the Environment Minister and Planning Minister and the Infrastructure Minister to come up with that plan. We need two plans, basically. We need a plan for housing that we require, island-wide. We need more family housing. We don't need any more one-bedroom flats. We need family housing so families can progress from rented accommodation into family houses and stay in Jersey. And how do we do that? You know, and where do we build it? And it's really important that we address that. And to address that, do we need any more building in Five Oaks while this is going on? No, we don't. We need a plan from infrastructure and from the planning department of what is the island plan and what do we need, and then we can have a plan of where we're going to build it or what we're going to build. But until that plan comes, I would be against any more building in that area until we get the actual plans that we've been asking for the last 5 years.
Kevin.
Five Oaks Master Plan came into existence because I asked for it. I was against the wholesale building across many fields in St Saviour. I worked with the late Constable Sadie Elizabeth Reynolds. We went through the maps, And we just said, this is just overdevelopment. And we actually stopped a lot of the building. Some of the ribbon development is going ahead as we speak. There's few houses, 12 houses going up at the top there, opposite the co-op. There's 2 houses there that are 4 bedrooms with 1 bathroom. So whoever designed that obviously didn't have teenage children. So it's a work in progress. I insisted that this Five Oaks master plan be brought in because there's going to be a lot of activity in the Five Oaks area. A lot of the estates around there are going to be rebuilt, Le Saint-Chen. A lot of it's going to be rebuilt in the not too distant future. So we're on the crossroads here. Everybody drives through St. Saviour, whether it's Longville to the south or Five Oaks to the north. We are a transit parish, and there's nothing we can do about that. What we can do is the Five Oaks roundabout, the land to the west belongs to the state, so we can actually enlarge that roundabout if need be, which maybe takes some of the strain off. But traffic is a problem. As you approach Five Oaks, roundabout from Bagatelle, there's villas, cottages on the left there. And I had installed something called orcas, which is a thick slab of rubber bolted to the road. Have a look next time you go past. And that's to stop all the Arctic trucks taking the downpipes off the villas as it passes by, because it is a very busy road, a lot of commercial traffic going up and down the island, and we really need to sort it out because, as I say, there's going to be more building there, more schools. We've got 15 schools in the parish, so we need to get a move on. Thank you.
Next question. Is there anybody who hasn't asked one yet? Okay, this lady here.
Hello, my name is Anne Holdridge. I live in Maison St. Louis, and joining from Maison St. Louis onto Wellington Road is a nightmare. Why are parents allowed to block the whole road until they can turn right under the church or into De La Salle car park or De La Salle itself? They are blocking, nobody can get out and nobody can get in.
So your question is, what can they do about that?
Well, we need a traffic system to let people out and to let people in. And I live in Maison St. Louis, and sometimes you can get a parking fine if you park on a yellow line, but there's nobody stopping the parents blocking the roads.
Okay, thank you. So it's Dave Curtis answering first. What can be done about that?
Thank you. Unfortunately for us, we have a large number of schools in St. Saviour, and traffic to that school is a priority and a concern for everybody. And the important thing is for it to continue moving and to park sensibly. And having build-ups and backlogs is not beneficial to anybody, and it's frustrating for the residents. And we need to look at a traffic plan, not only that road, but around several schools, to get traffic actually moving instead of congesting. And it's something that I would look at very strongly if I got in, because traffic movement is a priority. And at the moment, we are congested 2 hours a day where we can hardly move. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating for people going through, and it's equally frustrating for the residents of St. Saviour who cannot move sometimes. And I sympathise when you cannot get out of your house. And we need a traffic plan, and we need it now.
Kevin.
But as I said, we have 15 schools in and around St. Saviour, so it is a major, major problem. I have 2 traffic wardens, or parking control officers, if you like. During school time, they do nothing but school traffic when schools are going in or schools are coming out. Regarding Maison St. Louis, I'm sorry about the wall collapsing there. It wasn't our wall, even though I got blamed for it. And thank you for your patience, because it's taken a long time. We had to deal with 6, I think, different insurance companies and get construction underway. But hopefully the road will be open soon. Regarding to illegal parking, I said we have 2 parking control officers, and they're always going up and down the street there, making sure traffic is not blocking. We have obviously problems with the St Saviour School and De La Salle, all around that area, and obviously it is a major problem. But I will pass this on to the parking control officers to up their game regarding Maison St Louis. Thank you.
Susie.
Are you talking about the road that comes onto Wellington Road?
Well, I'm talking about Wellington Road is blocked from 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Okay.
coming down and going up. And sometimes it's down as far as Hotel de France.
I live at the bottom of Wellington Road, so I know.
I know. Well, we coming out from Wellington Road, we need at least a half an hour, if not more, until 4 o'clock, really.
So we definitely need a plan, that's for sure.
But there is parking there at the school. It's okay.
Okay, should we let Susie answer the question, because otherwise she's going to run out of time.
So are they St Saviour people or... Okay. If I'm...
This is turning into a discussion. Let's let Susie answer it.
If I'm elected, I will look into it for you.
Thank you. Next question. Gentleman in the blue shirt. I will come to you if we run out of people asking their first question.
Good evening, Martin Roberts, Procurator. You won't be surprised that my question may well involve finance. Tonight we've heard lots of questions in regards to community facilities and events. My question to you is, if elected, what would be your major contribution with regards to an event or facility within the next 4 years? How would you look to introduce it, and how would you look to fund it without affecting the parish rate?
Well, so that's a question about how you would introduce the new facilities and how you would pay for them without increasing the rates. So Kevin's first to answer this.
As I've just mentioned actually previously, that the park to the rear of us here, I hope will come online. Had a meeting today. There's going to be a lot of tree planting there, under whose branches I will not see, but that's the way it is. Yeah, it's difficult really, but we will do what we can, when the money allows. We're not going to break the bank, but we will put on as many facilities as we can. Thank you.
Susie.
Okay. To think about it. Well, I think we've mentioned quite a few times tonight that we want the parish hall opened more and the recreation field open more. A lot of those things don't need to cost money. A lot of things, I think we spend a lot, or sometimes too much money when we don't need to, so we can make savings. We can have fun and have recreation without costing money, basically. So if I were elected over the next 4 years, I would do as I said previously, just get this hall opened more, open the Golden Age Club again, get activities going, get this hall used, and that wouldn't necessarily put the rate up, because it would just be using the facilities that we already have.
Dave Curtis.
Thank you. Good question. Obviously, the recreational park and somewhere for teenagers and people to go is a top priority, and financing that is a challenge. However, it is possible to go out, get sponsorship, get funding out without using the parish rate. And I would endeavour to use all of my time to get people to sponsor, to help, to pay for it with a limited, if anything, on the parish rate. It's quite easy to get sponsorship for community projects from businesses if they feel that they are worthwhile and they are in St Saviour's. And I know of one or two that would be already quite happy to facilitate something, especially for teenagers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, gentleman there.
Good evening, Andrew Lacane. I'm aware, as many people are, that our lovely green fields around the parish are targeted in some people's minds for redevelopment, for housing and things. Bearing in mind the RRB are pumping sewerage out every 2 days at Prince's Tower Road, will the candidates resist any further development until we have decent, safe infrastructure in place?
Okay, so will you resist further development until there's safe infrastructure in place, i.e. sewage?
Well, it's a bit like the Jersey way, isn't it? Putting the cart before the horse. You can't have new developments unless the infrastructure's there first. I mean, that's just common sense, isn't it? I would have thought. So I wouldn't approve or propose or support any new development unless there was really good infrastructure there first. Does that answer the question? Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you. Green spaces are vitally important for me, especially coming from an agricultural background. I do not like to see green spaces used for building unless they are absolutely necessary. And I think that we should look at, other sites, and green spaces are vital. We haven't got many. We're losing them rapidly, and the agricultural industry suffers when they lose them. And it's really important that we maintain our agricultural industry and keep our green spaces. And we should look at other alternatives and other sites before we even consider green spaces. And that would be my view.
Kevin.
As I said recently, we do need to provide housing for our young people, but I'm against the wholesale building all over St Saviour. We are very much a dormitory parish at the moment, and we really must put the brakes on it just a little. Regarding some of the estates that are being built around the island, bizarrely enough, there are no drains suitable for it yet, which is quite bizarre, that they're building tanks to hold all the wastewater, putting it politely, until such times as the mains catch up. Anyone travelling to the west, up towards St Peter, would have noticed the roads have been dug up for some time. This is what's causing the problem. They're putting in new drains for the new estates in St Peter. But as I say, so many estates now are being built without the facility of drains. So the states really need to play catch up and put in more and more drains. But unfortunately, that will mean that there'll be more disruption. Regarding effluent going to sea, that shouldn't happen, but a lot of stormwater actually goes into the sewers, which was great in Victorian times, but not in a modern day. We don't need it. So stormwater should go to the land, and sewage wastewater should go to Belizan. Nobody actually opens a valve to let it flow out to sea. It's actually an underground weir, and if it floods automatically to sea, which shouldn't be happening. But as I say, the states are playing catch up now with infrastructure. It's been underinvested for some time, and they really need to play catch up. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Lady at the back. Wait, hang on, microphone's coming. Simone is running there right now.
I'm Leslie Norton. I've lived in the parish for all my life, off and on. What are the aspirations of the candidates if they get into the States? Are they wanting to stand on any of the committees? Are they wanting principal jobs on committees or as deputies on the committees? Thank you.
So, what do you want to be as well as Constable? Do you want to be on the committees? Do you want to be an assistant minister? What other things do you want to do, if anything? Dave's answering first.
Thank you. I would be new, and my focus is the parish of St Saviour. It's nothing else. I have no aspirations to be anything other than your Connétable, and that's where my work lies. Scrutiny would be something that I would look at, but it would be something that I would cautiously look at. Anything that's put my way, I would look at to see if it was doable under the workload. It's really important to focus on the parish at the moment, I feel, and that's where my 100% of my time would be. And if I could do some scrutiny work in between, perhaps a little bit, not too onerous, then I would look at that. But my focus is the parish of St Saviour.
Kevin.
I have actually been Minister for Infrastructure twice as a deputy. I'm the only one to survive it, actually, twice, but that's another story. After the last elections, I had a phone call from the Chief Minister saying, "Kevin, what job would you like?" And I said, "No, thank you. I'm doing the job that I want to do, and that I want to concentrate on being the Constable of St Saviour." You are expected to do other roles within the States, and I was on the planning committee, which was not too onerous, a lot of research, a lot of reading, but not too onerous, and I can actually fit that in with being Constable as well. So you're expected to do other jobs on various scrutiny panels, but it is achievable. But I wouldn't recommend any Constable being a minister or assistant minister, but each to their own. Especially, as I say, we are the second largest parish on the island, so there's plenty to do. Thank you.
Susie.
Thank you for your question, Leslie. I am of the firm belief that constables should not be ministers or assistant ministers. And I think we've seen in the last term 2 constables in particular that have had ministerial roles, and they've been criticised for not looking after their parish enough. So I am going to say, and however, in a minute. So I do feel that constables should not have ministerial positions. However, it was pointed out to me by one of the parishioners that there's a huge amount of work that has to be covered by the 49 members. So if somebody had a particular skill that was a constable with a particular skill, and they were not a minister or an assistant minister, then they would, and if that was the law that they couldn't be, then they would be somewhere on committees or scrutiny or something, but their skills wouldn't be being used as much as they should. And it was pointed out to me that if somebody's going to spend X amount of hours a week on something, then that something may as well be in an assistant or a ministerial position if we're not going to be using their skill. Does that make sense? However, having said that, I do think that all the constables shouldn't be ministers or assistant ministers, and their parishes must come first. Thank you.
Okay, next question. There's a gentleman right at the back.
Hello, is this on? Yes. Justin Alexander Figgett. I don't think about it. I don't think I've knew this for a very long time, but I was actually born in this parish, but I'm sure a lot of Jersey people are anyway. I was born in this parish. I grew up at St Clement's. I did go to school at Holier. My professional career was in the Far East. Then I lived in St Helier, and basically I've come back to St Saviour, presumably to die. But the question, I would like to focus a little bit from the last question, and indeed the very first question we had. Without naming any names, there's been a constable somewhere at some time on this island who felt that the constable should not actually be in the State's chamber, coming back to the question that's just been answered. And of course, the government of Jersey does determine, the senators of course have disappeared and returned, so that presumably is an option that the constables would in fact not be in the chamber. So the question is, in part, would you agree with that particular person I'm not naming about the role of the constable, that they should not take part in states debates should not be involved in the central government, if you like. And then the other part of my question, I'm sorry about this, but the other part of the question is, insofar as you are in the States Chamber, do you feel that as the Connétable of the parish, do you feel you actually have a different role in the Chamber potentially to the deputies of this parish?
Okay, so that's a double-sided question. One, should constables actually be in the States Assembly? And the second one, as you are in the States Assembly, whoever becomes Connétable, is your role different from a deputy? So first to answer that is Kevin.
Yes, in a word, yes. I can best support the parish by being in the Assembly. As I mentioned previously, I managed to stop some overdevelopment in the northern parts of the parish, where several housing estates were penciled in. I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't in the States. But you stand up in the States, you make your points, and you persuade your fellow States members that you to agree with you. And it's not an easy job, but it can be done. And I say, I have, working with the previous constable, we stopped a tremendous amount of overdevelopment in the parish. So we do make an effort there. Sorry, what's the second part of your question?
I'll say, because I've got a mic. The second part is, when you're in the Assembly, is a constable different from a deputy?
Well, basically, the deputies represent parishioners, and the constable represents the parish as a whole. So we have the whole sort of infrastructure, the roads, and everything to look after. But deputies primarily look after individuals. Thank you.
Susie.
Thank you for your question. Yes, I do think the constable should be in the Assembly. I think they have a very important part to play in the Assembly, and the fact that we represent you. So I think that's a definite yes for the first part. There's not very much difference, I don't think, between the constables and the deputies in the Assembly. I think the biggest difference is that we are putting you first, so we are representing you. We are your voice in the Assembly, whereas the deputies are more of an island-wide issue rather than. I know we have our own deputies, but they also have to think more island. The constables think, or should think, a just parish. So does that answer your question? Thank you.
Dave.
Yes, definitely. We should be in the States. It's a voice for the parish. It's a really important voice, and it's really important that the Connétables remain there, because they are, the parents of the parish, and they have the parishioners' views and concerns, and they are the voice for you, and it's really important that they are there. With the deputies, I would hope that the Connétable and the deputies both work for the parish as a joint block. They are the three deputies, and the Connétable are the voice of you. And I would hope, and we have some wonderful deputies, and hope we will get them again. But they do work really hard, and as a collaborative group, they work for the parish collectively and together, and that's really important that continues.
Next question. Is there anybody who's asking their first question? Lady at the back.
My name's Violet Murrell, and I've lived in St Saviour's Parish all my life. We go on about the community, but I don't see anything where they're connecting the young people with the old. And I suggested an allotment, and I think the field would be perfect for that, because when I was working at the schools, we were teaching children how to plant. And I think it would be a good mixture of the old and young being able to get together there.
So is your question whether the candidates would support an allotment?
Yes.
Okay, so first to answer is Susie. Would you support an allotment on the recreation field?
Yes, I would be. If you saw my manifesto 4 years ago, that had allotments in there. And I think we're probably maybe the only parish without any. I'm not sure, but I think we probably could be. So absolutely, I think we should have allotments, and it should be, even if it's not individual ones, maybe a big community one, and make it a community event. And I'm sure we have enough fields in the parish that we could choose one to make them allotments. Thank you.
Dave.
Yes, it's really important for allotments for people who need that facility, and it's really important. I'm not sure that the recreation field is the right place, but I would support a place that was fit for purpose. If it transpires that it could be fitted in there, then yes, so be it. But we're looking at a park and somewhere for teenagers to go, and a space for all parishioners, and if there is enough space for an allotment there, yes, but if not there, then we will look for somewhere else. But it is a valid point, and it is something that we should look into. Thank you.
Kevin.
Yes, I've asked the Chief Executive Officer of the parish to have a good look around to see if there's any fields we can buy or lease for allotments, because people would love to grow their own food. A lot of places now are apartments and don't have suitable gardens at all. When we finish around the back here, hopefully that not too distant future, I had plans on farmers markets, etc., just to keep the costs down for people. So people do like to grow their own food, and what's happening in the world at the moment, we certainly need to start growing our own food. It does worry me that, sorry, going slightly off the board here, that during the occupation of 20,000 locals, 35 occupying forces couldn't feed themselves. Now we have about 103,000, so we really need to import as much food as we can. But if we can grow as much food as possible on island, so much the better. But I say I really would like to find a suitable field where we could use for allotments for people. Thank you.
There's two people who haven't asked yet. If we go, Simon is nearer to that gentleman at the moment, then we'll come to you after that, okay?
My name's Paul Huzay. I'm St Saviour's born and bred. My question is, I'm a little bit concerned about the answers regarding the amount of responsibility each of the candidates feels they have to put into the State's Assembly. For after all, you are a member of that State's Assembly, and you've got a very important vote. Could you tell us where you sit on the political spectrum, left, right, or centre?
So are you left, right, or centre of the political spectrum? First, Dave.
Very good question. I would hope I sit in the middle. I take things on balance. I take things and everything. It's got to be fair across the board. I appreciate that everybody, wants tax cuts or benefits, but to produce something, you have to generate it, and nothing is for free. So I would think middle of the road, which is fair to everybody, which is really important that it's fair across the board.
Kevin.
Yes, I would say either centre, possibly slightly right of centre. I've always believed in fair day's pay for fair day's work. When I took over as constable of the parish, one of my first jobs was everybody was put on a fair wage. And I actually got a certificate downstairs. It's actually bolted to the wall from Caritas, thanking me for that. So, fair day's pay for fair day's work. If anybody can work, they should work if there's jobs available. But I know not everybody can work, but, if the jobs are out there, everyone should do it and get paid a fair wage. Thank you.
Susie.
Right of centre.
That was a very quick answer. Are you sure you want to be a politician? Right, next question is down here.
Thank you. Andrew Legale. We're having a very interesting conversation about the role of constables in relation to the State's Assembly, and also, obviously, in terms of the very encouraging comments some of you have given in terms of prioritising your role in the parish. The question I'd like to ask is, how would you be able to rally the deputies in this parish to organise regular meetings here, so that as parishioners we might have an opportunity to influence the way you vote in the Assembly by getting to a reasonable consensus as to what our views are, whilst all of you, all representatives of the parish, are in the same room. It needs a pretty strong rallying call to do that, apart from a deputy who's sitting in the front row to my right. So I think this is a really important issue, and I'd be encouraged to see how you can provide more community spirit and less stuffy parish meetings, which are all been decided before we get in there, and it takes a long time to get the minutes back anyway. Thank you.
So that's two things, really, isn't it? How are you going to get the deputies and constables all singing from the same hymn tune, and also finding out what parishioners want, and also how do you make the parish less stuffy? Kevin?
Thanks for that question, Andrew. We've known each other about 20-odd years, and I've never known you to be shy in telling me exactly what you think. So well done for that. We do have regular meetings, the constable and the deputies. We have surgeries where members of the public come along. I wish more people would come along, actually. They are advertised, but they are very poorly attended. So maybe we need to up the advertising on that and make sure everyone is free on the same day, because a lot of deputies have other roles to fulfill as well that sometimes doesn't permit them to attend all of the meetings. But it's a fair point that we should increase the meetings and the surgeries for the people of St Saviour. Absolutely. Thank you.
Susie?
I think it's absolutely vital that the constable and the deputies meet on a regular basis. Just vital, and I would make it compulsory. I don't know if you do already, but I would be very disappointed if they didn't come to the meetings. And I would also be very disappointed if they didn't put the parish first. I think one of the nice things about St Saviour, because I've been to some of the other hustings, for the other constables' hustings, and I went to the Trinity one, and their main complaint in Trinity was that they had to share their deputies with another parish, St Lawrence. I went to the Greville one, and their main complaint was that they had to share their deputies with St Martin. So we're a very big parish, but we are one parish, and we are one constituency, and we have 4 deputies all to ourselves. So I think it's just fantastic that we've got 4 and we don't have to share them. So as constable, I would make sure that they spoke to me on a regular basis. I would make it compulsory that they came to the meetings unless they had a very, very good reason. And again, my door would always be open. I would have an open door policy. Thank you.
Dave?
Thank you. That is indeed a challenge, and I'm sure my colleagues will say that as Connétable we would always be here, and the meetings were always attended by us. And we're very lucky that some deputies do attend, but some do not. And we need to make that an issue. And how do we do that? Because possibly some of the assemblies are not advertised, and therefore we don't get the amount of people that we should, and that's a disconnection. If we were more connected and more people knew when the assemblies were, what was being discussed, they would attend more, and perhaps more people attended, more deputies would think of attending. But but I'm sure that we can all work together when elected, or if whoever is elected, to make sure that Connétable's deputies are present and the agenda and what's being spoken about is well advertised so people feel connected, and then people will turn up. And then if people will turn up, perhaps that will implore deputies to attend more.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? One at the back. And then I'll come to you because you're being very persistent.
My question is about deputies that don't live in the parish. How would that affect your assembly meeting? Because presumably they would not be able to vote on any of the issues that were brought up for discussion. And how would you deal with that?
So first to answer now is Susie. Deputies not living in the parish, is that your question? Okay. I didn't quite understand it. Could you just repeat it?
Maybe I should rephrase. If a deputy doesn't live in the parish, can they actively take part in a parish meeting? Are they in a position to be able to vote or not?
I see. Can deputies who don't live in the parish take part in a parish meeting and vote? Can deputies who don't live in the parish vote in a parish meeting? So, Susie first.
I think at the moment they can. Okay, well, I agree that they shouldn't. If they don't live in the parish, they shouldn't have a vote. Does that answer the question? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dave.
That's an interesting question because obviously with the districts that throws a new light on it, doesn't it? But for St Saviour's, if they don't live in the parish, then they shouldn't vote. Would be my view.
Kevin.
If a deputy does not live in the parish, they cannot vote in the States Assembly. It's black and white. Deputies do not have to live in the parish.
I think you mean the parish assembly. You said States Assembly by mistake.
Freudian slip. Yes. You cannot vote in a parish assembly unless you live in the parish. Deputies do not have to live in the parish, but they would lose their ability to vote. Constables must live in the parish. Deputies do not have to, but if they want to vote, they must.
Okay, let's go to you for your second question. Otherwise, I think you might be having a little apoplexy
I might just
over there.
resign. And so my question, saturation point. I live in a war zone next to a school, and it's dreadful. We are a transit parish, and everybody tonight has come up with the wrong answer to me. Safer routes to schools and all that. Why can't we just get kids out of schools, out of cars? Why can't they walk to school like I did? You know, and everybody else probably in this room, you know. And secondly, I would like to know, would you vote against any extension to any school that's currently in our parish? And would you vote against any new schools? Because we are at saturation point. And we get no help from education. We get no help from infrastructure. Kevin's tried. The two guys who patrol, and they over-patrol, because who would think that primary school mums are that they can be offensive and bloody rude and nasty, block your drive, and it's a nightmare. The school's been offered 20 spaces round the corner, and they say it's too far for them to walk. So, within your remit, would you whip the deputies to come and get together and literally stop any further development?
Poor deputies are getting a bit of a hammering tonight. So, first question was, why can't children walk to school? I'm not sure that candidates can do anything about that, but they can answer the question. And the second question was, will you vote against any propositions to extend a school in St Saviour or build a new one? So, first answer is Dave.
Thank you. And safer routes to school are the issue because even parishioners are afraid for their children to walk to school because of the traffic and the chaos in the morning. It's really dangerous. And I would like to get more people walking, cycling to school and to get less cars. But to do that, we need safe routes to school. That is paramount. We would all like to see less traffic, but it's really compelling that parishioners are afraid to let their children walk to school because it's so dangerous in the traffic. So they get in the car and drive them. And that's where we need to start. We need to start by getting safer routes to school where children can walk and cycle. With regards to more schools, I would be against any more. We're saturated with schools and any more development until we've got safer routes and safer traffic plans. At the moment, I would be against any extension or any more schools in the parish.
Kevin.
Yes, I would be against any further schools in St Saviour. We've got about 15 at the moment in and around St Saviour. Basically, the problem with, I would love to see everyone cycling to school. I think a lot of us here are of an age when we cycled to school, but now parents don't want to let their children cycle to school because they're frightened of their children being run over by people being driven to school. It's a catch-22. I would like more safer routes to school. As I mentioned previously, we've got the school streets outside of St Luke's. We've done virtual footpaths in Bagatelle Lane and Bel Air Lane. We need to do more. There's plans afoot through the generosity of a local landowner. Bagatelle Road is going to be moved over a shade, possibly next year, to allow people to be children to be dropped off at St Saviour's School. That's still in the works. As David has just mentioned, through my efforts, I've negotiated 20 car parking spaces for the teachers at St Saviour's School down at the top end of Greenville. So they park up at Greenville there, they have a sticker in their window that says St Saviour's School. They come up the steps, across the zebra crossing, into Chasse-Brunet, and it's about 3.5-4 minute walk to school, but nobody wants to use it, and I can't compel them. Interestingly today, that costs them absolutely nothing because we've covered everything there. Interesting today, I think there's plans going in for something similar in St John, where the teachers are going to be charged to park their cars there. So, we do what we can. St Saviour's School was started as a very small school. It's expanded over the years. There's a lot of special needs children there now, and you wouldn't believe how many teachers actually work there. Anybody like to hazard a guess? Try 57. So we have to make allowances for that. We do what we can. Thank you.
Susie.
Okay, for the first part of your question, I don't think children should be able to walk all the way to school if it's too far, but I live at the bottom of Wellington Road, and I don't see any reason why they can't be dropped off at the bottom of Wellington Road to walk 100 yards up the road. Every day I see huge cars with one parent and one child driving up Wellington Road to drop one child off at one of the schools, and that's just ridiculous. It's very difficult for me to actually not say, get out and walk, because it's just 100 yards. The second part of your question, regarding the school in Millennium Park, for example, they want to amalgamate 3 schools and put it in Millennium Park. I would oppose that. If I was in St Helier, I would be going for the park extension and not the new school. With all the new flats in St Helier around there and St Saviour as well, they need the park extension and not the school. And also the school would be, I think they're describing it as a super primary. Well, primary schools should be small and intimate. It's children's very first experience of school, and they shouldn't be huge schools. Another school in St Saviour, I don't think we have room for anymore. I don't think there'll be a place for anymore. But I do think that maybe the existing schools, I know that they're not fit for purpose, but they could be improved greatly rather than building new schools. And I think the idea of getting rid of St Saviour's School and making a pocket park And the Bath Centre making another pocket park, having 3 little parks, I think is ridiculous. We just need one bigger park. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we'll come to this lady first and then to that gentleman on the end in the black jacket.
Hi, my name's Paula Richford. I live at Mofor. I've lived in St Saviour continuously now for just over 15 years, and previously when I first came to the island in 1990. So, without trying to be aggressive, I know. In response to the last question and all of the talk about safer routes to school, can we just not teach our children to cross the road? Because I fear we're raising generations of people who are going to get squashed flat the second they try and cross the road when they anywhere other than Jersey. It's just ridiculous. Is there something we could do to put somebody in schools to bring back the green cross code man? Or, you know, advertise and teach them how to do it and tell them to stop looking at their electronics and look up. Thank you. So, yeah, that's my question. Can we teach children to cross the road?
So, can we teach children to cross the road safely? Kevin?
Yes, indeed. Actually, I knew the Green Cross man, Green Cross code man, Dave Prowse, an old friend, sadly no longer with us. Certain areas, I agree with you 100%. Take the earpods out, stop looking at your phone, look where you're going. Absolutely, no problem with that. Regards to Laverine, I dare you to walk up there during rush hour. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. That's why I negotiated the special walk through Ivystill, and it comes out through a car park in Claremont Road. And that was an essential bit of work, because I certainly wouldn't want my children walking up Laverine. There's other walkways through as well from, is it Manor Park from Bago? You can come through that way into Ivystill, and the landowners are quite okay with that. It comes at the end, and there's, I think, about a 15-foot gap, the side of the fence. I objected to the plans because they wanted to fence off the whole area, and I said, no, you need a 15-foot gap there just so that children and elderly people can walk up through without having to walk up Laverine. When I was canvassing as a young deputy, I thought, I need danger money, because it is lethal walking up there. I would rather walk up the other side and come around the long way, but, you know, that's just me. But certain things, I agree with you, that children need to be taught more. I think they are in school. There's talk of banning iPhones and all sorts in school to let children concentrate. Not something I would disagree with. Thank you.
Susie?
Yes, I completely agree. We need to teach our children how to cross the road. We obviously want our children to be safe, but I think they are safe in Jersey on the whole. We also need to teach them independence. If we drop them off right at the school gate every day rather than walking 100 yards up the road, how on earth are they going to go to the UK on their own on their first trip and get on trains and that sort of thing? We have to teach them independence and to do things on their own. And I think dropping them off at the bottom of Wellington Hill and getting them to walk up isn't such a bad thing. So yes, bring back the Green Cross Code and teach them independence. Thank you.
Dave?
I think you're a bit harsh on our younger generation. I've seen many adults on electronics walk into more traffic than I have children, to be fair. But yes, we need less traffic, and we need safe crossings, you know, and that is paramount. It is. We are inundated with traffic, and there are much more cars than there used to be, and we need to. I appreciate that, you know, some children are on electronics, but adults are as well. And you drive through town, and they just walk out in front of you, you know, blindly. But if there was a safer crossing system that the children could use, then that would be preferable. It's got to be getting children across the road safely. And while I take on board, you know, they are on electronics, but they're not the only people on electronics. like some adults, I would say as well, unfortunately. It's safer crossing that we need. It's a safer crossing system. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, our next question, the gentleman in the black jacket there with his hand up.
My name is Malcolm Lewis, born in the parish, and I've been running a business in the parish for 45 years. We haven't spoken about business and support for business. Generally in Jersey, a lot of smaller businesses, especially in this parish, which has effectively no financial services businesses, are under a lot of pressure due to the cost of living crisis, cost of doing business. It's generally accepted that for Jersey to be successful in the future, there needs to be an absolute commitment to encouraging and supporting diverse economic growth, thus supporting business, both small and large. What do the candidates, what are their views on this notion that we should be supporting small businesses and supporting diverse economic growth?
Okay, Susie, you're first to answer this. What are your views on supporting small business in the parish and diverse economic growth?
Yes. Yes, we absolutely have to support small businesses all over the whole island. There's too much bureaucracy at the moment, too much red tape, and it's just really difficult for small businesses to make a profit and make a life for themselves. So we just absolutely need support. Absolutely need support. Thank you.
Dave.
Business in the parishes, both large and small, are vitally important. They're important to the economy, important to the parish. And it's vital that we support them as much as we can, in whatever way we can, large or small. And it's really important that they are the backbone of some of the parish. Some of the businesses have been in the parish for decades and decades. And it's really important that they get the support. And the support not only from the parish, but from the government as well. And I appreciate that is a real challenge at the moment with everything that's going on. But we really need to look at supporting, especially small businesses, because they are the backbone of St Saviour's.
Kevin.
Yeah, I think it's a tragedy every time you walk down through town, even around the shopping centres or around Columbia area, and see yet another shop shut down, and you know it's never going to open again. I do support local business. I believe in small government. I supported the new hotel at the airport twice, and first time I was the only one to do so, so I wasn't very popular. So saying that constables all vote together, not true. I voted for it, and everyone else voted against it. But I believe in, business keeps the island going. It pays the bills. It pays a lot of rates as well. So I really believe that we need to cut as much red tape as we can. So many people have phoned me recently saying there's so much red tape in business now. People letting out people letting out apartments, etc., to say we're getting out of it now. There's too much red tape. We can't cope. So we need small government, but efficient government. Thank you.
Right, time for the next question. Has anybody else got anything else they'd like to ask? Okay, we'll go back to the second question to the gentleman at the back.
Thank you. Sorry, since the questions seem to have died off a bit.
Bit closer to your mouth?
Yes, sorry. Not my own question, but half of one former question, which personally I'm afraid I didn't feel any of the candidates really devoted their answer to, because it was only half a question, was this question about getting deputies on side, just to get back to the deputies again. So, as I say, it is the same question that someone else asked, but how do you get the deputies on side? And we had a question about political allegiance, as it were, before. Insofar as deputies may not agree with your views on certain issues, is it important to vote as a bloc in the States? Is it important to work as a bloc, or are you going to be in charge of your deputies, or is it all right if everybody follows their own their own path, as it were.
Okay, so the question is about the relationship between constable and deputies. What happens if you don't agree? Can you get deputies on side? Should you vote en bloc? Is that possible? Those are the kind of questions. Dave.
Thank you. I would hope that the Connétable and the deputies have worked together and come up with a compromise and can all vote together. But if that's not the case, then we are individuals, and it's important that we vote on what we think is best and what is best for the parish. And if that disagrees with the deputy, then so be it. But it's important to vote on your principle and what you think is best for the parishioners and what the parishioners want. And if that disagrees with the deputy, then so be it. But I would not vote on block just to vote on block. I would vote for what the parishioners want, or what they tell me they want, and if that differs from the deputy, then so be it. But I'm not a yes man.
Kevin.
No, constable and deputy is a completely different role. We don't control deputies and vice versa. But when I devised the plan for the park around the back of me here, plans on the back wall, I called the deputies in and say, look, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And there was input from the deputies saying, great plan, but maybe move that a bit to the left or whatever. But in the States as well, if it's good for the parish, hopefully they would vote for it as well. But there's no guarantee. A person may or may not be a member of a political party who have their own agendas, but I would hope that everyone would vote in the parish interest. So I'll leave that one there. Thank you.
Susie.
Yes, I think that the constables vote in their own right, but you have seen in the past that sometimes you just see it, that they have voted en bloc. You can see that, it's very obvious. But for me, I would always vote for what I thought the parishioners wanted. And that's it, because that's what we're here for. We're here to represent you in the assembly. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another question from this gentleman down here in the black polo shirt.
Eric Mahe again. I'd like to ask a question to the candidates on how you would address assisting people with disabilities. We have a lot more people, not only children with difficulty, crossing the road with electric vehicles, older people, like myself, crossing the road. I do work with people with disabilities, wheelchairs, etc., and less abled. I spent 2 years unable to walk, and I had the run up St Saviour's Hill with a mobility scooter, and when the governor had the gate open, it could go through that way, otherwise it was undoable. And I also noticed how narrow the pavement is along St Saviour's Hill when children are walking up there, and it's very close to cars hitting them. So how would you address, it's not just St Saviour's Hill, there's quite a few places, there's no drop down in the curb to get across to the parish hall. There's more and more people that are elderly with disabilities. How would you, as constable, get to those people who aren't always going to ask for your help?
So how would you help people with disabilities get around the parish? Kevin.
First out of the gate. Yes, we're actually developing plans to make this parish hall more disabled friendly, because as you probably noticed, there's a ramp on the way in. We hopefully build one on the side of the building here. But converting a historic building is not easy. Regarding the rest of the island, I was infrastructure minister for a while. I did a lot of things that were disabled friendly. I was a committee member of Jersey Blind Society, and I put in lots of tactiles. If you go somewhere, shall we say, Howard Davis Park, if you have a Pelican crossing, if you push the button, there is no beeper. There's no beeper operating because there's two crossings at right angles to each other. And a person with visual disabilities would hear a beep and they would cross the wrong point because they'd think it was theirs. If you put your hand under where it says wait, little tactile will spin in your hand, which tells you it's safe to cross. So I put in lots of those. Also, there's lots of drop curbs for wheelchairs, etc. And I also put in many, many new disabled spaces in Sand Street Car Park when I was minister there. So I'm very sort of disabled friendly, if you like. But one thing I would suggest people do, a lot of people say, what's a parish road and what's a states road? They have stopped doing it now. If you have a telephone directory, not the current one, but a previous one, save that because it has maps in there and it tells you all the white roads are parish roads and all the purple roads are states roads. So it does tell you which is which. And we don't have any control over states roads, but we do try our very best to work with the infrastructure department. It's not easy because the first people to get hit when they're cutting back on the budget is infrastructure. So we do what we can, and hopefully we can make some more progress in that direction. Thank you.
Susie.
Yes, we mustn't forget that we always have the community volunteers, and the community volunteers are there to help everybody, but especially people with disabilities. So if anybody needed to get out to Connétable, the medical centre out there, or just the hospital, or just a medical appointment, the community volunteers are there to help. I think I said earlier that not enough people know about them. And when I've been knocking on doors the last couple of weeks, they were surprised that help was there. They just didn't know. So that's one way. In town, of course, there's shop mobility. And also there's a new charity just opened, I think, called Enable. So Enable, they do a lot for people with disabilities in all parishes, not just town. So that's all. But I think the community volunteers are there to help everybody, and really we're not used enough. So thank you.
Dave.
Yes, I think if you're desperately immobile, obviously the volunteer group is there, but I think your point is moving around with mobility vehicles, and that's the issue. And that is better infrastructure, isn't it? It's better pavements, better access, much better facilities, and be that government or parish. Pavements are sometimes too narrow, and it needs to be accessible, and they need to be resurfaced and user friendly, and that's the important thing to get around, especially on those mobility issues. And current pavements, infrastructure, and some parish ones too narrow or uneven and difficult to walk across, let alone go down with the mobility. So that's where we need to focus on better infrastructure.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, I'm happy to go back for second questions now. There's a lady kind of near the back there.
Hello. My question is in relation to the parish park to a degree, which is a bone of contention, obviously, at the moment, until further finances are discussed and the situation is discussed. But the proposal is that the access will be from Patio Road, which is a narrow road and has a vast amount of traffic going up and down it, particularly during school times. I am a regular user of that road because obviously I live in a one-way system around the Bonaire Lane, Patio Lane area. Which of the candidates is in support of the one-way priority road access that is going to be proposed with the ensuing chicane of the wooden post that will be erected alongside?
So what do candidates think about the proposed one-way system and one priority?
Sorry.
Near on Patio Road or near Patio Road?
Which of the candidates are in support of this?
Right. So are you in support of the one-way priority system in Patio Road for access to the field? Yes. Susie first.
I'm not very sure about the one-way system down in Patio Road, but I would certainly go down and have a look and decide if it would be of benefit or not. Thank you.
Dave.
I'm equally unfamiliar with it and would need to take some advice on it. The issue with making a road one way is if you move the traffic from somewhere else, you've got to move it from somewhere else. And I would seriously consider looking at it, but I would need to see a wider plan of how traffic was going to move first and how it would affect other people. But it's something I would look at and consider, but you need to consider the whole area and what traffic, the effect of putting it one way, how that affects other traffic and other residents. It's really important to take everybody's view. And I would look at it, but I would look at it and project it as a whole lot.
Kevin.
It was never going to be one way. It was going to be a priority system, because we need to put in a virtual footpath to keep people safe. We do get the children from St Saviour School coming down to use Le Boot, which is the little meadow opposite there. It's like an adventure playground for them. It's pretty safe. They're surrounded by walls and they're perfectly safe down there, but getting down the road is something else. So it's a priority system. Basically, we were told initially when the concept for the park to the rear of us here was put forward that it had to be from Patio Road and not St Saviour's Road. Because that's a 30 miles an hour, that's a 20. So it must come in through that area there. We want to keep everybody safe. Safety is a priority. When I was a very young deputy, I had a community safety fund, which I was told was about to be removed, and it had £22,000 in it. I thought, what can I do with that money? So I bought most of the parishes a Smiling Sid speed indicator device. And since then, parishes have actually bought their own. But going back a few years, but they were quite primitive, but they're quite good now. We've got one in Bonaire Lane. It's an aide-de-memoire. It slows people down. Sometimes we use one on Patio Road here, and it does help, because there are people who will speed whatever, but most people, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that, and they immediately take their foot off the pedal and slow down, which is great. So we're not into punishing people. We just want people to drive at a reasonable speed. So we're trying to make it good for everybody, so that the children come down from the schools on a virtual footpath. They can go into Patio Park just up the road here, or the new park around the back of us here when it's completed, or as a Le Boot, which is just across the road there. We want to keep everybody safe, but we need to keep traffic moving as well. Thank you.
Sorry, my question was, were you in support or not? I think from the answer to that was yes. I did, perhaps phrase my question wrongly. Did mean it was going to be priority one way, but it will create one heck of a backlog down Patio Road and up St Saviour's Hill. That was kind of my point. But thank you for expressing whether you're in support or not. That's clear, thank you.
Well, there is a trade-off to be had. And cars can actually drive in to a virtual footpath if it's clear to do so. So traffic can go both ways. So it is a priority. It's not restricted one way or the other, but it's just a priority system. It's to keep everybody safe. But the thing is, everything we do now on the island is retrofitting, because everything is so built up. I've got many lanes that have actually got stones coming out the walls, which are gate guards, which stop the old wagons from whacking the walls. This is how far back most of our lanes go. So I would say is to keep everybody safe. Thank you.
Do either of the other candidates want to comment on that extra comment? Because Kevin had a bit longer then. No?
Your allotments, would you be keen to set up with your parishioners St Saviour's version of the GROW project? And would you be prepared to put parish funds into it to sustain it over a long period?
So Kevin's going first. Would you be prepared to fund for a long...
And if you could handle it instead of me, that takes a great weight off my shoulder. And yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very keen on allotments, and I know that the schemes that you're talking about have been very successful and very well received. So best of luck with it.
Susie.
Yes, I completely agree. I think parish funds should be used to set up the allotments. And it would be wonderful if it was a community endeavour, not just individuals. Thank you.
Dave?
Yes, I would be in total agreement. I know the project as well, and I've been up there a few times, and I'm amazed at how many people are up there and how many young children are engaging in it. It is really, really worthwhile. And yes, I would support it. And yes, if the parishioners were happy to put parish funds towards it, then so would I. It's definitely worthwhile.
Thank you. I think there's a question here. Gentleman in blue.
My name's Marcel Kibu. I live in Meadow Park. And it's a question of these 20 miles you've introduced into the parish. They are never, never, never policed. And people are going well over the limit. So what would you do about it?
Okay, so sounds like there's some agreement there. Nobody's policing the 20-mile-an-hour limits that have been introduced in the parish. So Susie first.
Is this somewhere in particular?
Okay, so 20-mile-an-hour limits. What would you do about the fact that they're not policed?
Well, if I had the time, I would go down there and arrest them. Speed limits are there for a reason. And if people are going over the 20, well, then they need to be given a ticket or something. Yeah, I would put a yellow jacket on and go out with a pad and arrest them. Simple.
Dave, how about you?
Unfortunately, the Connétable lost their policing powers some time ago, and unfortunately that's not possible anymore. But I would talk to my colleagues in the honorary police, and if there is an issue, then I'm sure they would be more than happy to attend and do relevant speed checks. You can also put up a device, you call it a smiley sign, but if you turn off the smiley face, it records data still, so people doesn't think it's working, but it does. But you can put it up and record data, and that gives you some idea of how to police it. So from the data that you download from that, you see what time cars are speeding, you see when the pinch points are, when the really bad speeds are, and then you send officers out there appropriately to catch them at the right time. And I would hope the honorary police, as I'm sure they would take that on board, and if it's a real issue, they would go and police it for you.
Kevin.
Rue de Pré has been a problem for many years. There's been a lot of development down there, which I'm sure you're aware of, which is just going to exacerbate it. People tend to speed from the north end. There's been a few accidents there. I arrived just after a young chap went through the gates, didn't quite make the corner, and nobody was injured, luckily. But people do slingshot around the corner, and they do accelerate down Rue de Pré. The honorary police are aware of this. They put up the smiling SIDs, and you can either have the smiling SID registered, or you can have them go blind, so you turn off the face, so it does record the speed and the amount of cars that are speeding. So that can be interrogated. So if they know that a car is coming past at, say, 425 every day, speeding, they can be down, the honorary police can be there to meet it. I've reported it to the infrastructure department, whose road it is, and they are taking action on it because the road actually narrows towards the south end, which you're probably aware of, and it is quite dangerous. So we are taking action on that in conjunction with the infrastructure department. Thank you.
Thank you. We've probably got time for one quick last question if anybody has a question. In the front there.
Hello, my name's Jane Fox. I've lived in the parish for 28 years. I was born in the parish. I was christened, confirmed and married in St Saviour's Church. What I would like to know is what one quality as an individual do you think would make people want to vote for you?
So, what's your quality that will make people want to vote for you? First, Dave.
One word: compassion.
Kevin.
I've done lots in the parish, basically. I helped out during the major floods we had down in Granvaux. We've got a flood vehicle parked outside, which is a jacked up Land Rover. I put that together and I paid for it myself. That's helped people out during the floods. We had everybody in here. Some of the hotels were brilliant. I named the Ambassador Hotel. You said, send everybody down with their pets, we'll take them. Absolutely brilliant. Credit to them. I support many charities. As I mentioned, Jersey Film Festival, ICANN, Winter Warmers. One quality. I will do my very best for the parish.
Thank you, Kevin. Susie.
Honesty.
Well, I think we'll draw this to a close now. Thank you very much for all your questions, and thank you to the candidates for their answers. Susie just wanted me to explain that she's been suffering with a sore throat and an ear infection, so that's why I've been kind of passing her notes and trying to explain what's been going on, because she's full of phlegm, so she can't hear things.
Too much information.
So well done for getting through this evening. Thanks also to the tech team, the parish team, Simone for passing around the mic, and everyone else who's helped organise this evening's event. If you'd like to get in touch with any election candidate, you can find their contact details on vote.je and in the manifesto booklet that has been delivered to all households. If you applied for a postal vote, your ballot papers need to be with the judicial graph by 12 noon on the 7th of June. You can vote early at St Paul's Centre. That starts next week on the 26th and it carries on until the 1st of June. On election day, polling stations are open from 8 till 8, and please do remember to take photo ID with you. So thanks very much for coming, another good turnout, and good night to you all.
Can I also thank Kathy here for keeping us all in good order. Many thanks, Kathy.